Well, it's another Monday. We survived
Yay.
another weekend. Yay. Gosh, golly, man. Oh, I messaged Don this weekend. I had not heard back from him yet, Don Ecker. I'm sure hoping everything's okay with him. My message to him was, hope you guys are doing okay. And there are no more storms this week because it's canceled the show twice, the storms that hit California. And
they were having that monsoon. Yeah.
Yeah, it was nasty, nasty, gnarly weather. So I'm going to message him again here before we start the show. We have started the show. We're starting the show. But I'm going to take a break for a second here, and I'm going to type a letter out to Don. Dear Don. No, I'm not.
That sounds so close to Dear John.
Right. Dear John. I didn't get a Dear John letter. I got a Dear Don. Yeah, I don't know if he might laugh at that. Unless he got a Dear Don letter in Vietnam.
Yeah.
No, I never have. I wrote one while I was in the Army to the girl. I said,
Dear Jane?
Because I was kind of miffed. We're still good friends to this day, Patty and I. But yeah, I broke up with her while I was in the Army. I said, you know what? Every day I have to go for 14 hours a day, and I rob myself of sleep to make sure I write you a letter. I said, and you can't manage to write one every 2 to 3 weeks. She wrote me like one letter the whole time I was in basic. And I said, if that is your MO, move on. And
Gary's even doing the Dear John letters backwards.
She didn't quite understand. She didn't quite understand what I was saying. So I got a message from her, phone message that was left for me through my drill sergeant's office. And so I went out and I made a phone call, and I got really angry over the phone. And when I hung up the phone, a bunch of guys started chuckling and laughing at my anger. And I walked out and I started walking towards them. I said, okay, who wants it first? You all want it at once. And they just dispersed. Because I was going to fuck them up. I was in a mood. Only women can do that to us. Only women can
sure
ignite us.
I was 1 month away from flying the girl out to Hawaii. I was out on Johnson Island. I was coming up on my halfway break. It was a hardship tour, 365 days. They had to get you off the island. And had a month to go. I had already, I was about to buy the plane tickets for her, and got a 23-page Dear Joe letter.
Damn.
Detailing how she was
that's massive.
Marrying a dude in East Texas who turned out to be a drug dealer and moving there. And and the guys told me before the first night I was there, first two things that happen to you on Johnson Island is they hand you a gas mask off the plane, first of all, because you're guarding chemical weapons or working with them the entire time. And the other thing was that at the party that night, they made sure to let you know, yeah, you got a girlfriend? No, you don't have a girlfriend anymore. Don't worry. They're not going to be there by the time you get back.
Right.
That kind of thing. So
exactly. Yeah. So I'm having a conversation with Don Ecker right now.
Oh, right away.
I'm going to send him an invite if he wants to join us.
Of course.
That'd be great. I love having Don on.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. I'm sorry. I'm
not
doing my show right now. I'm busy typing.
Let's kill the dead air, guys.
Busy.
Glenn, yes. I totally.
I tried.
Go ahead. Oh, no, I was just responding to Glenn. I agree with you. I have never seen this film until yesterday, and damn, McQueen can act, man. I have never seen McQueen in a role like that.
It was my first view too yesterday, and I feel like I should have seen it at least twice to be able to talk about it. I feel so unprepared.
Oh, don't worry. I mean, I tried to watch it last night and I just fell asleep watching it because I was so tired. I streamed for like 6 hours yesterday. But
You're
yeah,
crazy.
the little bit I saw, my gosh, yeah, he had an accent and everything. I'm like, damn, that doesn't even seem like Steve McQueen, you know? Yeah,
And
he did a good job.
and the nature of his character, a man so contained. He hasn't. I have never seen him that way. He's always so dynamic and how put it extrovert in his other roles.
Yeah.
And he in this one, man, I couldn't believe that I was watching McQueen.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm sure Gerry knows, but we have Tyrell and Choi here.
Yeah, Chew.
Chad.
Tyrell
right.
and Chew. I only do eyes. I told Anima about the time he called my house back in the 90s, and I got home and I from work, and there's this message on there, and I push the button, and it goes, "Hello, Gary. This is James Hong. I only do eyes. Call me."
That's so fucking weird.
And I'm like, for a second, I'm like, is somebody doing his voice? And I played it, and like, holy shit, no, that's him. And I looked at the phone numbers that it called me. I'm like, oh my God, he called me. And so I called him back, and we had a friendship for a while. And then in the 2000s, he had changed his phone number. And because he had moved, changed his phone number and switched out his old email. And when I moved, I lost all that contact info.
Oh,
So I've not been able to get a hold of him since, and it bugs me because he's such a sweetheart of a guy. He would call me, and ask me, "Do you know any guys in the special effects arena that I could hire?" And I told him, "Yeah, tons of them." And I'd give him names and emails. I miss those days. He's making breakfast, so.
The Donster.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yep, man.
I think I got us a guest this week. I'm not sure. I got to tell you, I'm trying to help him get guests while I'm also trying to draw my graphic novel, write it, and run these shows.
Right.
But he's feeling overwhelmed, and so I told him I would step up and try to help him get some guests on there. But I'm like, who the fuck do I know? I don't really know anybody. I know John Brandenburg. I know Mark Center. I know all the guys I know through KGRA. That's who I
right.
Those are all the guys
which
I know.
He knows too. Yeah. So
I just I feel like Bill Skywatcher needs to step up and help.
Yep.
And I'm gonna have a talk with him because they were supposed to help me with Vindicated. They haven't done anything for me, and I just gave up on it. Hey, bonjour, Christian Delorme. How are you? Or as I normally say, bonjour, mon ami.
I don't know if the guys have told you, but I'm pushing Vindicated Inc. every show I do. So
yeah. I appreciate it, man.
No problem.
I know somebody else is playing the trailer too on their streams, and I appreciate it. Not getting any new clicks or anything, but it's nice to know that my friends are putting and swinging for me.
Yeah.
So we got Penny Debug Martin and Christian Delorme are in the house. There's apparently, well, look, I'm going to stop saying this if you guys are watching the show while streaming, because I don't want us to do that. I want to know how many seats are in the aisle. So when we are on the show, we shouldn't be watching it on YouTube at the same time, because it affects our numbers. And I want to see who's actually watching. But Mondays tend to be pretty popular. In fact, other than our Friday, Saturday show, Monday is the most popular show we do. And depending on the film. And I know that I'm picking a film that might be obscure to some people here, but this is a real classic movie that I have a lot of love for. It had a huge impact. Steve McQueen had a huge impact on me in my storytelling, and there's a little bit of Steve McQueen in everything. When I write a heroic character, there's a little Steve McQueen in there.
Mm-hmm.
because his Bullet in particular, the way he played that character, when he did that one scene with Vaughn, what's his name from Man from Uncle? Forget his first name.
Robert Vaughn.
When he did that scene where their final confrontation in the third act, and Vaughn reads his lines and says this long diatribe of how this is how, when I'm doing police work, this is how I expect it to be done. And Steve McQueen took a page and a half of dialogue and said, this is too much. And he went off, came back, and they shot the scene. Vaughn delivers his lines, and he turns around and he says, you police your side of the street your way, I'll police mine.
Sounds a lot
and
better.
Walked away from him. And I'm like, that's Steve McQueen, man.
Yeah.
And he took something that was overly verbose and turned it into something simple with that absolute cool that he had.
And unforgettable, right? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And so when he did Sand Pebbles, and I remember going to see this as a kid in the theater with my dad. And I talked about this last night on Facebook. I posted something. I said, as much as bad as our relationship got, I blame his organic brain disease harming our relationship. And some people would say, well, how can you turn your back on your dad when he's... And I said, I didn't turn my back on him. I had to put all my energy into raising my kid all by myself with no help. And I had to protect my status in my brain to make sure that my needle was always pointed true north. And when my dad started going off the rails, and then he became accusatory and just saying some really god-awful things to me, I had to make the decision, do I make this my problem, or do I keep my focus on my kid and make sure my kid gets the best of me? And that's what I had to make the decision. I had to make the decision. I turned to my cousin. I said, he's your responsibility now. I got to worry about my kid. And I feel bad for that. But until that incident, my dad and I had a great rapport. We'd argue. There'd be no real long-lasting hurt feelings, because I'd beat him in most of the arguments, the debates, whatever you want to call it. I don't know what happened, but I learned to debate from him, and I learned how to debate him in particular. And so I would win our debates, and it would frustrate him. But at the same time, no long-lasting hurt feelings. He'd be calling me the next day to say hi and see how I was doing, because we loved each other. As many problems as there was love. And we also had a great love for film and television. And we would sit down and have these 2-hour-long conversations about a TV show. Like, one of his favorites in the 90s was News Radio. I couldn't get him to shut up about that show. Kitty Flip from Flip City magazine posted a comment on my Facebook page, because I listed the top 10 shows that my dad and I would talk about. And here, I'm going to read them to you real quick, because I love this. Number 10, Hill Street Blues. Number 9, Tour of Duty, with Vietnam series, as well as number 8, which was China Beach, the other Vietnam series. Then number 7 was NYPD Blues. 6 was Becker, of all things. 5, Newhart. He loved that show, Newhart. Yeah. We loved the original Bob Newhart show back in the 70s. But then Newhart came out, and he just loved that show. And we would talk about it, and we would chuckle over moments in the shows we'd share. Then number 4 was News Radio. And that was really, even in the repeats, because especially after Phil Hartman died, we would just talk about that. And he loved Phil Hartman like I did. Number 3 was Wings. That guy loved Wings. My dad would he was, hey, the guys from Cheers were on there twice. I'm like, great. And I didn't start watching Wings until he recommended it. And so I started watching it because of my dad. Number 2,
Mhm.
Cheers. That was a show we always talk about. Number one, Vietnam veteran show, Magnum PI.
Yeah.
We love to
Mhm.
talk about that show. And
Mhm.
we'd rehash favorite moments when the series ended. Because I was on the cusp of adulthood when that show was on. And we would talk about it on the phone. Did you see the new episode? Yeah. All the way to 1988 when the show ended. And it's just one of those things.
When I was on Fort Shafter, we used to see that car all the time because they filmed a lot of it on Shafter, which is about 8 minutes from Waikiki.
You interrupted, Martin. What was it?
I'm bringing up the slideshow.
Okay.
Yeah, you kind of
have to let me. You don't have to say anything. Just bring it up. It's fine.
Okay.
It's a visual cue. I will see it.
But it's a visual interruption too. So
yeah, it's not interrupting me. I can still talk.
Okay.
I can continue my thought.
Okie dokie.
Yeah.
I got it.
So, all right.
10-4. Roger that.
Let me ask you this, Gerry.
Yeah, man.
Can you and your brother have complete conversations in dialogue from TV shows and movies? Because I know me and my brother can.
My dad.
Oh, that's right.
My brothers and I never talk about stuff like this. No, my dad and I.
Yeah.
My dad and I would talk. No, we would talk, and he would do that. He would bring up lines. Now, this is important, what they just showed there on the screen. There was a lot of turmoil in China at this point. And I want to point out again that China never invaded another country until communism.
Mm-hmm.
And communism changed the Chinese culture in a bad way. But this is really at the onset of communism in China. And that's what they're dealing with in this story. And the reason why there are patrol boats going up the Yangtze River was because we had a lot of Americans in China. And the primary function of the U.S. Navy, along with any Marine contingents that were there too, were to protect American citizens and American business people, as well as delegates, any politicians that were there. And there you go. The last one, missionaries. And missionaries, as you've seen in so many fucking movies, are so problematic. And it cost so many soldiers their lives.
Yeah.
The true story of Zulu, when you watch that, part of that problem was missionaries. When you see Rambo, even though it's a fictional film, it's telling a truth, and there's a problem. And the problem right now is Christians are murdered every single day by these fanatical religious groups, as well as gangsters.
Yep.
Gangsters murder Christian missionaries on a regular basis. Every single day, there are murders of missionaries overseas. And Thailand is one of the worst. And the missionaries' primary function, since it has been enforced that you cannot coerce, you are not legally allowed to coerce other cultures to come to your religion in order to give them aid. You have to give them aid no matter what. If you're going to do this, by law, you have to obey this. And so Christian missionaries' primary function is to aid. And then their secondary thing is to try to save souls. But they cannot tell somebody they're going to reject them for aid based off of them not wanting to follow what they're teaching. And this has been enforced for a while. But that is a problem still in the early 20th century when this film takes place. Now, this dining scene is great because these are all businessmen, missionary, these are all upper crust people. And you got this lowly fucking sailor, a grunt for the Navy, having dinner with them. And they're trying to have a conversation with him, and he's trying to have a conversation with them. And you can see the distinct difference. And they're also learning something, that he's not stupid.
Yeah.
And this is a problem so many of these people think. And you hear the missionary say this to his daughter, never get involved with a sailor. And he warns her because she's clearly attracted to him, the daughter. This is Candice Bergen's first movie. She was, I think she was about 20 when this is her first movie. And Weiss was wise to hire her because I think she's very good. I think she has that delightful look to her. When her face lights up, it lights up the screen.
But you can tell
I think
she has
real
experience in acting. You can tell.
No, she is absolutely. She is like a model, and the only experience she has is that she is the daughter of Edgar Bergen, the famous. I hate calling him a ventriloquist because he was a terrible ventriloquist, but he was a comedian with his dummies.
An entertainer.
Yeah, his mouth was always moving. You could see his mouth moving when he did the other characters. He was terrible.
Part of the joke is what it is.
But he was funny as hell. He would write his own scripts. Great stuff. I love the uniforms in this, and they wear them accurately.
Yeah. What was the movie she made with Jack Nicholson? Unknown Carnal Knowledge, I think is the name of it.
Oh, Carnal Knowledge. Carnal Knowledge.
Yeah. Carnal Knowledge, that's the name of it. Yeah.
Where she's first involved with the other character played by Art Garfunkel. And then ends up in a relationship with him, and just everything goes to shit.
It was gorgeous. Yeah, for sure.
No, she was. Her mouth and her brain is what ruined her, because she's just got such a nasty attitude about anybody conservative, and it's sad.
Well, I tell you, my favorite movie with her in it was Bite the Bullet with Gene Hackman and.
No, that's a great movie, dude. All those films she did when she was young, she would never do those kinds of films later when she matured. Wind in the Lion is one of my favorites with Sean Connery. And even though it's not what happened, they turned it into a romantic adventure. I love the treatment of how the relationship between the Navy and the locals were in China. That there's a symbiotic relationship that if you don't conduct yourself a certain way can cause you problems on the ships. They allowed the Chinese to work on the ships, which turned around and bit them on the ass during the rebellion. And they show it here. And this boat is a fictional boat, the San Pablo, or as they call it, the Sand Pebble. It's based on the USS Villalobos, a real ship that had the same kinds of problems that they're having here. And so the author who wrote the book decided to take all those stories he heard and put them all into one boat and focused on creating this new name, and it's the San Pablo. And so basically this ship is run physically by the Chinese, while the sailors get to sit back and tell them what to do. And there's one point where he's
Gerry.
Yeah, the weird rule is you can kick them with your foot, but don't you ever lay hands on them. Even though twice in the film they physically show sailors laying hands on the Chinese.
Well, the first incident is just the guy shoving them out of the way to make them leave when the guy gets crushed in the machine.
Yeah,
the second time he's just punching him in the face. So that's two different things.
So he's going down there because this is important for you to understand his character. He loves engines. They're telling him the coolie runs it with the Chinese crew, and you don't do anything. You tell them what to do. And he goes, no, I became an engineer because I like being an engineer. And so he's immediately at odds with the other sailors and his captain, because the captain's more interested in status quo at this point. And of course, the captain is played by the amazing Richard Crenna. I want to point out again, you just don't see this anymore. A majority of this cast and crew all served active duty military. It's not by a choice that they were picked because of that. It's just simply that's the way it was back then. Some of these guys were World War II vets. Richard Crenna joined the U.S. Army and served in the European theater in 1945 and continued on through to the Korea. There's Turkel, Joe Turkel. That's Tyrell from Blade Runner, the one getting his shaving.
Yep.
He has an interesting side story, which is he has trouble remembering his lines, and so he would have index card cue cards all around him for his lines to always make sure that he remembered his line.
Even at that point?
Yeah, he's had a problem his whole life. It's a retention issue. And I always thought, because I use the theory of 21. If I read a script 21 times, I will memorize it for a while. And so I know everybody's lines. And that's what I used to do on stage. And it was fun to hear that there are other actors that did that, like Robert Mitchum. And of course, we already run into our first conflict here in this scene a little bit, but he chills out. He's like, yeah, I'll have my breakfast. Give me 6 eggs. And they're like, he'll make them for you. But the coolies are the ones that are in command of the Chinese crew on board. And there he is, one of my favorite actors as a child. That guy, I swore as a kid, after watching this movie, that was the guy that was the model for Fred Flintstone and was the voice of Fred Flintstone because he sounded so much like him. And I love this. This is a scene where they've got to do repel borders thing. And it's almost like a ritual with the Chinese. They all gather around because they know this is going to happen, where they've got to do the repel borders and they blow steam at the crowd. And that's like them going, woo, yay. It's like, what the fuck, man? But it ends up being what happens, man, in these cultures where, you're doing something that they've never seen or done before. Also, I want to point out, I don't know the actor's name. I always forget his name that plays the XO on this. He is because this could easily be any story like Bly and Mr. Christian. So many of the near mutiny or mutiny stories. And here's where he's got to blow steam at him. And by the way, that guy on the left there, that's Sir Richard Attenborough playing an American.
Wow.
His nickname is Frenchie.
Yeah.
In the story. And he's sort of the third main character in this story. But the two main characters of this story are Richard Crenna. There's the XO. A really good young officer. Richard Crenna and Steve McQueen are your two main characters in this film. And the conflict is between them. There's all this other stuff, and Anima is having trouble because she was like, it's so confusing. I said, keep it simple. This story is simply resistance between two people that should be getting along because they're very much about their duty. Richard Crenna's character has an issue with Steve McQueen right off the bat, before he's even on the boat, because he read how many times he's changed command. And he sees that as a problem. He's a problem. So already he's got a chip on his shoulder about Steve McQueen's character. Mako is great in this. This is his first movie.
Yeah.
Mako is brilliant in this film. I loved Mako. God, what a great actor. It was a sad damn day when he died.
He'll always be Akiro to me.
He'll always be what?
Akiro.
Oh, yeah.
Conan.
Yeah. You can't even say Conan.
Conan's sidekick. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Conan. You throw me off with these names the way you say them, and it's okay. I do the same thing with Anima when I say foreign names badly.
Yeah. Like
what name are you saying? What name are you saying? French name? Denis Villeneuve. Oh, who's that?
I couldn't tell what he meant by the way he pronounced the name. I couldn't figure it out. And then he showed me the name and I was like, oh, that guy. Okay.
This came out the year after not Mary Poppins, Sound of Music. This was his follow-up film. he was such, I just love Robert Wise. He did from, The Day the Earth Stood Still. Then he does West Side Story. And then he does Sound of Music. And then he does Sand Pebbles. And then a few years later, he did a lot more great films. But then he did Star Trek: The Motion Picture, and he brought the science fiction back to Star Trek. That's the Coolie right there. One of the guys he has trouble with.
He doesn't shy away from long running times, does he?
No. And I love this.
No.
Yeah, because the movie has the music at the beginning and a black screen, the overture.
Yeah.
And then it does at the middle, it has an intermission. And if he's going to do an epic film, he's going to make it worth your while. Give you your money's worth. And I love that about him. There's nothing boring about this film.
I'm always hesitant with long movies like that, but I didn't mind at all last night.
Well, there's so much going on in this film.
That's true.
I love the mustaches, by the way, that you see. These are very much period mustaches. There's one dude with absolutely one of the coolest boxer mustaches I've ever seen. You'll see him on the crew. But this is about 15 years after the Boxer Rebellion in China. China has been in just turmoil, and they can't find their footing. They don't really have a culture. This is why the communists were able to infiltrate the way they did. China is the greatest warning to the West when we start trying to be multicultural. We are a country of cultures, but the fact is we have a sound footing for years. And now all of a sudden people are trying to undo that footing. And that's where communists slip in. When you create that confusion, cultural confusion.
And the fact that they are still able to do that when communism has failed over and over and over again. It has
every single time. It's never succeeded, not once. There's the ship's Coolie right there. And by the way, there's a scene early on, the first time he goes in the engine room, he wants to go down and inspect the pipes. And this angers the Coolie. Yeah, I'm in charge of this. I am. And when he sees him go down there, he wanders over to the left where the pull chain is to release steam. And he releases steam down into the pipes to burn them a little bit. And so conflict is immediately started between the Coolie and him. Because he keeps warning the captain, there's something wrong with the main bearing on this one piston. And finally, it takes the XO hearing it to tell him, yes, we need to stop and fix this.
Yeah, the captain doesn't
Richard's not going to listen to his engineer. He won't listen to him because he doesn't respect him because he thinks he's a problem. When Richard has technically become the problem because he doesn't trust the guy that's doing his job. So great conflict in this, and that's right out of the book. And they really did. The U.S. Navy really did this. We had little gunboats like this. Went all the way back into the 1800s. We had steamboats, paddle boats. They had paddles, the ones on the side, the naval paddle boats, going up and down the Yangtze River, protecting American assets. And it seems like the XO really does kind of treat him pretty fairly in the film. There doesn't seem to be a conflict between McQueen's character and his.
Hello, Ariel.
Oh, hi, Ariel.
Hi, Ariel.
No, they bankrupt themselves.
Well, we helped bankrupt them. Ronald Reagan and the Pope, John Paul II, worked in unison because of Poland is why Italy went full force in going against Russia. And they, working together, the Pope and Ronald Reagan broke communism because they kept tricking them. They were doing to the Soviet Union what Arnold kept doing to Sly Stallone with his movies, like tricking him into doing movies that were terrible. if you didn't know that, Arnold did that to Stallone more than
I
once.
did not know that.
Yeah.
Can we talk about this engine room, please? How they are so close to these fucking dangerous machines. I got so anxious watching this.
Well, that's every engine room.
That's normal.
Well, that's the problem here.
That's
Is
normal.
he has got to go into this hole where the pistons are, and they've got everything locked down, but there's always that chance that something's going to slip, and it does, and it crushes him. It's pretty bloody. It's not gory, but it's bloody. He is covered in blood.
Though. His scream when the thing goes down,
Yeah.
that's blood curdling. Jesus.
Mm.
It wasn't just that. It was the stuff dealing with orbit. Because a lot of people don't know this. The Soviet Union was already building a space force in the 80s. We were the ones that were late to the game, creating our own space force. But this scene is so intense. So the coolie is dead, and now he's got to find another person to take his place, and he picks Mako, breaking another rule that he was told: don't make friends with them. Don't do that. Don't get chummy with them. Let them do their jobs. And he actually really likes Mako's character. And I really do believe that it is that costs him. Well, I'm not going to say right now because fuck it, I'll spoil it. It gets Mako's character killed. And there's a lot of learning of how to conduct yourself, because this is the first time he's ever dealt with this the whole time he's been in the Navy. This is like a different Navy to him, what's going on this ship. And I want to point out too, look how beautiful that ship is right now. Clean. When we get towards the end of the second act, when they abandon the ship, that ship goes to shit. And it's visually obvious that nobody's taking care of the ship anymore.
They don't take care of it, and I don't understand it because
the sailors aren't doing their fucking jobs. Yeah.
They're stuck all winter. Nobody cares to take care of the ship. It's fucked up.
Okay, here he brings it up because Holman, that's McQueen's character, he says, the two bad things that have happened have occurred since you've been here. So he just has a chip on his shoulder about him. And he's letting him know.
It was well known that he had problems with the coolie.
Yeah, so, but the thing is, though, is two people have been hurt, one killed. And so he says, this has been since you've been here. And Steve McQueen throws it right back at him. He's like, that's because there's a problem on this ship, and I'm trying to deal with it. That's Richard Crenna. Now, once again, I want to point out Steve McQueen was a U.S. Marine, served during the Korean War, and Richard Crenna is U.S. Army, served in Europe during the last year of World War II, and continued on through to the Korean War. Yes, that's him, Richard Crenna. In fact, I always kind of joke when we watched the Rambo film when I was on Toxic Tuesday that his character in that is sort of like the son of this character because they're so much alike. And it's not just the performance. I love the sets. This is, of course, in Los Angeles or San Diego, wherever the studio was.
LA.
And this was the bar set. It's supposed to be China. I love the vaulted ceilings. Everything about this just feels like a movie set. But at the same time, it doesn't pull you out of the film. And this is, where Frenchie and he become chummy with each other. There's Richard Attenborough, the same man who would introduce the world to dinosaurs 30 years later.
Yeah, I did not recognize him. I've never seen him so young.
Oh, there's Joe. We got Joe back.
Oh, he relocated.
Yeah, I was hearing nothing but roboting, and I was afraid I was stepping on people when I tried to talk. So
we weren't even hearing you.
Huh?
We weren't even hearing you.
Yeah, so it was the Wi-Fi. I'm on the landline now, so I'm good.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. There is somebody who's very pudgy in this. Well, I just forgot his name. He played Steubing on Love Boat. Gavin MacLeod. Gavin MacLeod, he served also in the U.S. Air Force from 1952 to 54 during the Korean War. And oh my God, there he is. There he is. Oh my God, that guy was Fred Flintstone to me. You couldn't convince me of this. Simon Oakland, best known for playing Kolchak's boss on Night Stalker.
Yes, absolutely, man.
And his character's name in this is Stosky. Great freaking actor. Yeah. And here's this girl who's not been slept with yet. And she's not a prostitute. She's a hostess. And he's trying to force them into making her his. He wants to pop her cherry is really what it's about. And that's Gavin MacLeod in the back there from Mary Tyler Moore and Love Boat, the bald guy. And he's got such a donut around his gut. It's funny. Pudgy as shit. And he's pudgy when he played Murray on Mary Tyler Moore show.
Yeah.
And he was pudgy on that. But boy, when he got cast as Captain Steubing on Love Boat, that guy thinned the fuck up. He stayed in shape. Yeah. Now, what you'll notice throughout the film is see their SPs. That's Tyrell, Joe Turkel, from Blade Runner. And by the way, that scene also has two in it. James Hong.
Mm-hmm.
James Hong is the man who owns the establishment. And there he is in the background. See him there on the far left?
Mm-hmm.
That's Captain Steubing when he was pudgy. Air Force fed him too good. That's the problem. And so, oh my God, this is so cool. Because it's almost like a riot's going to start, and then all of a sudden everybody's in a good mood again. That's what drinking in a bar with military people can be like.
Drinking in a bar, period.
You can even have a fight, and then everything calms down, and everybody's drinking after the fight. Just had to work it out. By the way, something was brought up last night from Anima. He'd asked, about mutinies. And I said, there has never been a successful mutiny in the United States Navy, ever. There have been attempts, one in Vietnam. And it failed.
That's what I wanted to know.
And it's just, but we love movies about mutinies. The British, on the other hand, have had problems with it.
Oh,
the most famous being The Bounty.
The Bounty? Mm-hmm. That has been turned into so many movies.
Now, his character just wants to give her the money so she can be free. Because he goes, I would love to have that $200. And she looks at him funny. And not to sleep with you, but so you could be you. And be free. And she kind of likes that. But I don't think the depth of love is reciprocated. But does it really matter in the end? Because so many of the characters who express compassion and love in this end up dead because of their feelings.
She's also a bit annoying because every time he asks her a question, she says, it's a secret. I got so annoyed with her for that.
I was going to go to Venezuela a while back and change my mind. Yeah, fuck the communists. God, Mako. And once again, I'm going to point out that this is something you'll see cross-culturally in film. Japanese actors playing Chinese, Chinese actors playing Japanese. Quite common.
Oh, Ariel, you have generation of people who only know that, who only believe that. And they have no contact with the outer world because their internet is heavily policed. So you would be surprised to see what people is capable of endure only because they are accustomed to it.
Yeah, and if you actually go and see what's going on in those countries, it's really bad.
Yeah, it's
It's
not
really
worth
bad.
it.
Life is terrible. It's good for those that are at the top crust. It's always that's
Yes.
what communism is best for. The people are at
State
the top.
capitalism. The members of the state live like capitalists, and everybody just eats shit.
Yeah. So the people suffer, and the elite are happy and fatted, living off the fatted calf. That is one of the things that is always great about capitalism is everybody has a chance to succeed. Get a good idea and have a good work ethic.
Work ethic could take you a long way.
Yep. My World War II veteran, my geography teacher said, he says, but nobody ever got rich off of an hourly job. He says, you take those jobs, but you plan for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You have, do things to push yourself forward. And that's how you achieve things through a capitalist system. But Venezuela's in trouble. No, every single time communism rises up, they take total control of the media, everything. And they go into media blackout. Russia was one of the hardest places for, Soviet Union to get information in and out of. And here's the weirdest part. Americans that traveled over there would have 4 or 5 people from the KGB assigned to them. So they would have like 5 Russians to every American following them at all times.
Yeah, they're.
This is a great scene where he's teaching Mako, and Mako's like trying to understand words. Oh, it's great. Oh, this is where big guy got hurt. Oh, I forgot about that. He tried to bully him, and Steve McQueen knocked the shit out of him because he had given a cup of water to Mako, and that was the guy's Stosky's cup. It pissed him off. So now he's finally starting to maybe believe Holman's story of what happened. And everybody's treating him like shit because they think it's his fault that the coolie died.
Well, it's the easiest thing to blame him. You never liked him. This happened when you were present in your engine room. It's your fault. Done.
Oh, Penny's here. Hi, Penny.
Hey, Penny.
Well, she's been here since.
Yeah, she's been here for a while.
No, I don't think it was an accident that he got actors that were pudgy, because he wanted to make sure that you notice that they're a little extra healthy on this ship.
Yeah,
they eat great and they don't have to do as much work.
Mm-hmm.
Again at the bar. And the bar isn't far from the pier. You'll notice, like in modern Navy, and in the military period, you can leave the post and go pretty far because you got better transportation. Back then, everything was either on foot or rickshaw.
Yeah.
So you didn't want to go very far from the ship because you never knew when that horn was going to go off, and
Bicycle.
you didn't want to get caught too far away. And I'm assuming you had like 10 minutes. Nope. You missed nothing.
Oh, that's a fight.
Yeah, because he wants to challenge him. And so he's going to have Mako fight that big motherfucker, Simon Oakland.
And he does not want to fight.
he doesn't want to fight, but he's like, your job depends on this. You're off the ship if you lose.
And that's what turns things around.
Not to mention, he bet all that money that was going to free that girl. And that's got Frenchie nervous. And there's another great actor. That's Barney. Oh, what is his name? Hold on, give me a second. Barney Phillips. Now, he's best remembered for one episode of The Twilight Zone when he's the alien with the third eye. That's the short order cook in the restaurant. He's been hiding it under a paper hat and finally reveals himself to be the alien. Classic episode. And it's what he was most remembered for. And Mako doesn't know how to fight, or his character doesn't. In real life, he was actually a very good fighter, good martial artist.
It's funny, though, how he wins in the end. It looks so clumsy, but he's getting him to the ground.
Oh, there's James Wong right there with the cigar. James Hong, sorry, not Wong. And Oakland's beating the shit out of him. He really is. He's pummeling the shit out of him.
What a different time, man.
He was in Conan the Barbarian. He's the wizard that helps Conan.
Yep.
Not to mention he was on TV shows and other movies. But my next favorite film with him was The Killer Elite with James Caan and Robert Duvall. Sam Peckinpah co-wrote and directed that film. And ends up by the end of this fight, basically Steve McQueen tells him he's getting tired. Just start hitting him in the belly. And that's what he does. He just starts hitting him in the belly. Also, the liver punch will really take a guy down.
Yeah.
Hit him on that left, right under the ribs. Mm. Mm.
And he keeps telling him, you lose this fight, your job is gone.
And that's when he goes, what? He gets serious about fighting.
Yeah. He does not want to lose the job.
Mako, also one of my favorite roles was he was in what was that movie? I think it was Good Guys Wear Black with Chuck Norris. I think that was one of them. Let me see if I'm right. And I love that movie as a kid.
Yeah, it's a good one. Good Guys Wear Black.
And I seem to remember him in that film.
StreamYards is acting weird. I was trying to answer Ariel Ballet in the chat, and it wouldn't let me post in the chat, but I can do it on my phone just fine.
No, it came out.
Did it?
He was not in there.
Here it is.
No. That's the one I just sent on my phone. I typed that very thing without the StreamYard acting weird about 4 chats before that. So, yeah. Oh, let's see.
No, it wasn't him.
I just said that.
Oh, sorry.
I know he was on because he was friends with Chuck Norris, and he would appear occasionally on his TV series, Walker. But I'm going all the way back to his early days of his career when he really started taking off on TV. Because that's where I remember more from, is being on TV, episodic TV.
He was on quite a few things. But I'm like you. I remember him in Conan. So, yeah.
Yeah, he was in 2 episodes of the FBI. I watched every episode of the FBI. I love that show. He was on the Time Tunnel.
You mean
he was on the F Troop.
FBI?
Yeah. With Ephraim Zimbalist Jr.
That has got to be one of my favorite.
Oh, here's a movie I forgot all about. The Private Navy of Sergeant O'Farrell.
There you go.
And he played Calvin Coolidge Ishimura in that film. He was in the movie The Great Bank Robbery in '69. He was in The Challenge, the made-for-TV version. Oh my God, The Hawaiians. What an epic movie, man. Oh, I love that movie. What a cast. Max von Sydow is so good in that movie.
Isn't he good in anything?
Charlton Heston is so good in it. Oh my God, what a movie. He was on, of course, The Streets of San Francisco, Room 222, two of my favorite shows as a kid.
Love Streets of San Francisco. I'm the biggest Michael Douglas fan on the planet, dude.
Shockingly, only one episode of Kung Fu. He was on Ironside, Mannix. He was on everything, man. Let's see. And here we go. Killer Elite. He played Yun Chung, who's Chinese, by the way. That's a Chinese name.
Hawaii Five-0. You figured that.
Yeah, Hawaii Five-0. Let's see. I don't know that show at all.
Columbo. Wonder Woman, no less, with Linda Carter.
Wonder Woman. Well, when she was in the World War II era.
Yeah.
And Salvage One. That's a show that only got one season. And they kind of cut their own throat. Like, well, how many things are you going to salvage? Because the main thing they salvaged was the moon landing. They sent somebody up to the moon. And so, like, what's left after that? So Andy Griffith tried. It was good. He was on The Incredible Hulk, 2 episodes. It was a 2-parter. He was on that weird series Super Train. You remember that one? That was a weird show.
I don't remember that one. I really, yeah.
Oh God, Robert Conrad series, A Man Called Sloan. He was on that.
There you go.
Let's see.
He was a mainstay on MASH, though.
He was He was in 4 episodes of MASH. Oh my God, you knew you were an actor if you were on Love Boat or Fantasy Island. He was on Fantasy Island.
That's it.
He was in that stupid comedy with Carrie Fisher and I think Chevy Chase, Under the Rainbow, about the making of Wizard of Oz. This is the movie he was in with Chuck Norris, An Eye for an Eye. I remember him with Chuck Norris in a movie. That was the one. Then he did just some TV stuff. And then Conan the Barbarian came out, 1982. God, I love that show.
Conan that's my favorite Dino De Laurentiis movie, dude.
It is. It's one of mine too. It is one of mine. He was in Greatest American Hero, Fairy Tale Theater, The Last Ninja, The A-Team, Conan Destroyer. He reprised his role as Akira. He was in the Kung Fu movie that came out in '86, which was terrible.
Yeah.
And then he worked with Carradine again in his version of the Chuck Norris Rambo films called POW The Escape.
Yeah.
Terrible movie. Armed Response was not very good. But a show that I did like that didn't last was O'Hara. And it had Mr. Miyagi as the main character, O'Hara.
Yep.
That's how it was pronounced. He was Spencer for Hire, Tour of Duty, that weird forgotten series. Nobody remembers it. Super Carrier.
Super Train and Super Carrier? He's got something with super in it. Modes of travel. No doubt.
Yeah.
Yes.
But he was just all over. Equalizer. My God, he was in everything, dude.
You want to talk about an underrated movie, Tucker, the Man in His Dream. That's great stuff right there.
It's a great film. George Lucas. By the way, this is important to remember this kid's face. He's a young communist, and he's a student there in their school. And
I take it he didn't show up by accident.
No,
he's going to make a big mistake.
They're establishing who he is right now because he has a moment later in the film, and it goes by so quickly. If you're not paying attention, you won't notice that it's him. But he tries to kill Steve McQueen later with a sword, and Steve McQueen, doing his own stunt, has that sword coming at him, drops his helmet down, and lets the sword hit the helmet, and then he comes up and stabs him and kills him.
You didn't say he's doing his own stunt yesterday.
That was his own stunt. Yeah, he was doing his own stunt there. He did all of his own stunts in this film.
His face.
He doesn't have a stuntman in his film. He did all of his own gags in this film,
Martin,
including that cool jump.
1.3 speed. Moments go by quickly.
I don't think he was in Tora, but let me go check and see. I'll go back. It was 70. Yeah.
It's
The
that
hour?
time.
It's that time.
He was not in Tora.
Okay, so we are going to our break, and we'll catch you later. Let me pause this.
Meet the Seattle Vigilante. Like so many comic heroes, this warrior hides his identity. But his identity isn't the only secret he has to keep. After grievous wounds received during combat, Tier 1 operator John Russell begins to recover and comes to terms with his new reality of being an amputee. And as he learns how to use his new prosthetic limb, he finds himself caught up in the bureaucratic red tape that too many wounded veterans experience, the exhausting medboard process. Out of sheer frustration, John takes it out on the criminal scum of the city. But when reality kicks in, John realizes he started something that's having an impact on the greater world around him, and thus has to reevaluate his motives. And moreover, just how far is John willing to go to finish this war he's declared against the criminals in Seattle? And will he even survive? From the creator of IDW's award-winning graphic novel Code Word Geronimo comes a new story about a different kind of warrior, Vindicated Inc., the first of its kind disabled veteran action hero comic. The Vindicated Inc. graphic novel crowdfunding campaign on fundmycomic.com is provided in the description of this video. We hope you become a contributor. Please share this link. Thank you.
The answer is no. Ariel, only for one reason. Look, I will do films about allies to the United States, but even though I'm a big fan of the original film All Quiet on the Western Front, I'll never do it on this channel because it's not our military, and they were the enemy during World War II. But it's a powerful film. I love it. If that was told from a different perspective, the Great War of Archimedes, I would probably do it. And because the Yamato was, it was what do you call that? A paper dragon, a paper
champion. Yeah.
Yeah. It really wasn't a very good ship. It was made to look beautiful, but it wasn't an effective ship. And it was made to look badass when it really wasn't. It was easily destroyed. And I think that that's an interesting story. But because it's told from the Japanese, it's like I won't do Letters from Iwo Jima because I'm not that big a fan of the film. I love Clint Eastwood, but I didn't think that was that good a film. I have a problem with some of the stuff he does, and I didn't like I liked his Japanese version, telling it from the Japanese perspective better than I like the American version because I felt like he did them wrong. Paper Tiger is yes, it's just it wasn't a real effective ship. It wasn't made to be. It was made to look impressive, but it wasn't impressive.
So what you're saying is you're John Wayne. You're not going to give aid and comfort to the enemy. You're going to do shows from our perspective, right?
Well, I only know how to speak from that.
Yeah,
I can only speak about from mine and from our allies' perspective because I understand him. There he is on mounting the Vicar there. That's Captain Stubik. This is the murder of the coolie, Mako. And he's got the control of the steam hose, but he's getting angry because nobody's doing anything. And he's like, somebody do something. And he's screaming, he's screaming, kill me.
Mm-hmm.
He's screaming and begging them to kill him.
He's killing him out of mercy. I wouldn't call that a murder. They are trying
It's murder. It's just, there's sanctioned murder. It's murder. Taking a life, killing is murder. And murder is murder. It is what it is.
The motivation may change, but
yeah, it's just in this situation, he goes up there and takes the rifle away from this guy and just fucking drops him so they can stop, so they can't torture him anymore.
He can't save him. That's the only thing he can do. And it's brutal.
And this has always been a problem in the military, ROE, rules of engagement.
Yeah.
And you're finding out even in the 1920s, man, the rules of engagement are stupid.
Yeah, they are.
They couldn't save his life.
That reminds me of the scene in Last of the Mohicans where they're burning the British officer that takes the bullet for him. And when they're leaving, Daniel Day-Lewis's character puts one between his eyes as they're leaving, so he doesn't have to, endure all that, Still murder. Even though you're doing him a favor, right?
Ariel, we did Midway, as far as I remember.
Mm-hmm. We did. But I would like to do the other Midway. Because you and I still haven't watched that.
What, the new one?
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen the new one. I like the old one too much. I don't know. Some of these remakes, I can't bring myself to watch them. Because the first, I always say, how can you improve on perfection? It was so good the first time, you got to remake it. Well, why remake it? Just re-release the first one. Some things don't need to be remade, And sometimes they totally blow it.
Well, with that film, there's more accuracy in the newer version.
Is there? Okay.
Yeah, there's more detail and accuracy in the combat. And so I want to see it for that reason.
Yeah. Charlton Heston was in the first one, wasn't he? Wasn't that one of the surround sound movies, Midway?
Ariel, Tora shows both perspectives.
Yeah.
Majority of it, though, is the US's, and that's why I did that one. Mm-hmm. I don't have a perspective on the culture of the enemy, and I just feel weird doing it. And the Yamato, anything about the Yamato is going to be World War II. So no matter when it was made, and it's not an old film, it's a new film. It came out in 2017, 2019, something like that.
Hey, Shanatsky.
The only movie I'm watching with the Yamato from their perspective is Star Blazers. Yeah.
It's not the same, Yamato.
And by the way, it has nothing to do whether I like the film or not. It really doesn't.
Yeah.
What it has to do with is I'm going to talk about stuff that deals with either American or ally military. It's just what I'm going to talk about because it's what I know. Yeah, that'll never get remade.
Come on. You can't. No.
That's career ending.
People wouldn't even go to see that, I don't think.
No. It was just no. That would just be career suicide for any.
If they remade that, I might have to join my local independent theater as a member and insist that
the alien I hear in the script.
Right. Insist that they play the original the same weekend that the new ones open up and see how they do against each other. You know what I'm saying? Ugh.
And I find it funny when they, like with the modern lens, they try to make aliens now be played by black characters and make them obviously black. And I'm like going, you're not doing anything new. Have you never seen the movie with electroids? What was that called? The scientist rock and roll star.
Oh, Buckaroo Banzai across the
Buckaroo Banzai.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. How about Enemy Mine? Louis Gossett Jr., right?
Oh my God, that's one of the greatest ones dealing with race.
Yep.
I love that fucking movie.
Mm-hmm. It's fantastic. Yeah. But yeah, it's nothing new. You're absolutely right.
I get to do favorites. Yes. I do the British. I do any ally on this show. If it has the enemy in there, I do like it when they represent the enemy in a better light than just showing them as wild animals or as a thing. Because I respect the enemy, but at the same time, I'm not going to do films about I think it's absurd to even ask me. I'm a U.S. Army veteran.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk about things that I want to talk about and like to talk about.
Right.
And I do like it when people suggest really good films about our allies. Because, and I've had quite a few from Britain, Andy, Tim have given some great suggestions.
Yeah, there's a common misconception that soldiers hate the enemy. That's not the case. We're trying to survive, and you survive, like Patton said, by making the other guy,
You're
sacrifice
just trolling
for his country.
at this point. I'm just going to stop even responding to this.
Right.
You're just trolling me.
Whatever.
I know when I'm being trolled.
Right.
And the fact is, I just talked about a film that I wouldn't mind doing on here. But the problem is, I have a problem with the movie because the movie is Enemy at the Gates, which tells of the Russians repelling the Nazis when they invaded Russia. Right. And I said, two of the biggest leaders of the last, few hundred years, Napoleon and Adolf Hitler, both made the same mistake. And it cost them dearly. But Alexis Zaitsev is an amazing character. And in fact, I showed a docu video to Anima so she could learn more about this guy. And but my problem is with the film is that because they've shown two movies about snipers, Sniper with Tom Berenger and the film Saving Private Ryan, where they show snipers take the shot that was actually done by Zaitsev. That when they finally make a movie about Zaitsev, they don't have him do it.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
And that pissed me off. But I really did like the film. But they also, there was a lot of bullshit in that movie too. But Ron Perlman was so at home playing a Russian commie because he is in real life. But I do like that film. Yeah, I do like the film. And I considered doing that one, but I just have such a beef with it. And maybe that's when I do the film, I will probably go from that line. But you can stop trolling me now. I'm not going to fall for it. I have an argument and a rebuttal to this, which is I'm an American soldier, and I'm going to do stories about us and our allies. I'm also, because I got to tell you, the Japanese were our allies in World War I and before.
And they are now.
So. It wasn't until they got aspirations to attack China that they became a problem. And, and the League of Nations was as useless as the UN is today. And if not for the League of Nations, World War II wouldn't have happened. Also, the French and the British are at fault for the Treaty of Versailles and how the Germans got treated, and that led directly to World War II. Criticism is everywhere. Our president should have put a foot down, but he's like, okay, I'll step back. We're only in, we only served and saved your asses. So no, we'll step. Wilson, what a piece of shit. Yes, the Battle of Stalingrad. It's a brutal film. Yeah, as soon as you start to like a character, they're dead.
Right.
One of my favorite scenes, though, is where he doesn't even have a weapon. It's really good.
They sent two guys, one with the weapon, the other with
when the one with the weapon dies, the
Just
second takes over. And so he's sitting there and he's in a water fountain. It's got a hole in it, and he keeps repositioning. And with the sound of artillery strikes,
that's when he fires. Yeah,
and he takes out all these senior German officers. But in the video documentary I showed Anima, it's like he's actually said things that he had rules. He would not he would go after officers more than he would regular soldiers.
Mm-hmm.
He felt sorry for regular soldiers.
Yeah.
Even the Germans.
I just showed the clients the other night. We don't have any females in there right now, so they wanted to watch We Were Soldiers. We've got a guy in there right now that was a Vietnam vet, and he wanted to show a couple of the younger guys a movie about that war.
Yeah, but the British were involved in their allies.
Yeah.
So again,
That movie.
it's a beautiful film, though.
Mm-hmm.
It's a beautiful film. I love the first one. I even like the updated version because one of the heavy-handed moments of the film is how he dies at the end. It's really heavy-handed.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like you look at it and go, really? It's beautiful. It's artistic. But the newer film did something interesting, is that he doesn't even die on camera. He's just found dead. Just one more of the men found dead in the trenches.
Mm-hmm.
And it's heartbreaking. And again, the British were involved in their allies. And we were involved in World War I before that. We were helping the British. Just like with World War II, we were helping the British. Mm-hmm. We had Americans fighting. My grandfather was actually fighting before we entered the war. When he got shipped over, he ended up helping and backing up the French. That's how he ended up in a bastard brigade in World War I, because he was a cannoneer. He was artillery. And he ended up, the French had their own artillery. So he ended up like helping, doing other things, and then got pulled together, and he ended up a machine gunner in the trenches. Oh, this is one of the heartbreaking things about this story, is the Frenchie and her relationship.
Yeah.
And eventually they get frozen in, and, he tells him, there's no going to shore. We're staying on the ship. Mm-hmm. If you go to shore, you go to shore at this specific time, and then you come right back.
Yep.
During the daytime. And Frenchie is so torn over this girl and her mistreatment, that he is just absolutely, and it's a story about two guys falling in love and questioning their service. And guys do stupid shit over women.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That they do.
I like this scene. And by the way, the Navy's dress blues are, in my opinion, the handsomest uniform in the military. The Navy, man, great looking uniforms.
Yep.
They are.
Navy does have some cool uniforms. Ones. They just have really bad hats. They've got really bad hats.
Yeah.
I think I'd rather wear a service cap, the one with the really bad nickname that we wore, than that thing right there. I think I'd rather wear that one. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That thing just makes you look goofed. You look like Popeye walking around in that thing.
Well,
the opening battle, Ariel, is the best part of that movie. That was directed by Dale Dye, even though he gets no credit for directing it. The falling in love between these two characters is just, I just feel bad for his character, because for the first time in his life, he's thinking about something outside of the Navy.
Mm-hmm.
Because that was his life. Going in the Navy, he got away from everything. The Navy gave him a life.
And some people need that, man. There for many years after my brother got out of the Air Force, he missed that structure. You know what I mean? He really did.
Oh, I did too.
Yeah.
I regretted leaving the military immediately, because I left the military for her to continue her career, Alicia, while I stayed home to raise the kid.
Yep.
And boy, did I get screwed over.
After Johnson Island, I was ready to get out, man, because I knew if I stayed in and became an NCO, I was going back one day. I'd heard that through back channels, and I was like, nah, not this guy. I've done it once. That's okay. Thank you very much. I'll go to college now. You know?
Love the
And we have a breach.
a Navy man who was born in Utah.
A landlubber who was a Navy man, huh?
By the way, no, the red denotes that he's done 4 years prior service or previous service. So he's already had 4 years in.
Hey, boss.
That's all that is. Yeah.
Breach.
Yeah. Go for it. Go for it.
The Jeebus.
The Jeebus who is a monkey.
Cowboy, check around and see if there's a back door.
I've been watching CPO Sharky because it's on Freevee right now. You can watch the entire series on Amazon. And I have my I pay for my Amazon account, but I'd still rather watch Freevee for some reason.
Yeah,
I just love Freevee. Mm-hmm. I watch Chips on it. I watch Adam 12 and I watch CPO Sharky on Freevee.
CPO Sharky, good Lord.
And I have that video on here that I got.
Yeah, I know.
And this isn't about you. Stop making everything about you, Martin.
What about you, Rodriguez? You got anything to say?
Yes, sir, but it's very difficult, sir, and I don't think you'll understand.
Well, try me. Let me hear.
Okay, sir. Mire, jefe, yo no sabía que yo iba a trabajar más fuerte que el caballo de mi tío. El pobre se cayó muerto de tanto trabajar.
I'm gonna put you on a pickup truck, send you back home for the annual banana festival. And if that don't work, I'm gonna shoot your donkey.
That's basically Martin's in my relationship when he has trouble with English.
Wow.
But he said it wasn't about me. And just for the record, I do not own a donkey.
But you have cats, the same thing.
Oh,
Hey,
that's a line you don't want to cross.
dude.
Right? Come on now.
No, you don't.
No, God. Yeah, I got to tell you, on your private message, Wi-Fi is the worst way to stream.
Yeah.
Just the worst.
I haven't had problems with it in the past. You've seen me sit in front of there before, but here recently, my Wi-Fi is acting stupid. So I'm going to have to do it back here. I love doing it behind my bar, though, because you see what's behind me. I got my Brizard back there, which is the MP shoulder marker and all that good stuff. But yeah, I can't do it in there. Not unless I run a landline. You know what I mean? Because my Wi-Fi is just acted stupid. I don't know what the deal is with it. So probably has something to do with the extender we got going. You know?
Right.
Yeah. So
what's this one? World War II story I want to see done in a film is Leo Major. I'd actually love to see a proper telling of To Hell and Back, the Audie Murphy story.
Audie Murphy.
And more accurate.
Right. That would be cool. Yeah, I mentioned We Were Soldiers earlier because to Gary's point about the perspective of the movies, that one is not just told from the American side. You actually see the Vietnamese side of it too. I mean, you know, they open with the French going into, you know, like a decade before or 11 years before. And that's what makes that movie so good, if you ask me. You see it from both sides. You know,
were you there when we discussed it, Joe? Because we did. That
no,
year.
I wasn't around when you guys did that one. No.
I just saw something. Hold on. What is this? Didn't Al Pacino's character have? That's not Al Pacino. It's Robert De Niro. Men of Honor. A good film. It's a good film. Not a great film, but a good film. He has it's showing. You know, every red stripe shows 4 years. Mm-hmm. And then if you have gold hash marks, that shows deployments.
Well, you can infer, and it's just a supposition of my part, that if you had many years and a low rank, that you can assume this person is.
It's one of the jokes I've made because when I got out, I was an E2.
So you got in trouble a lot, yeah.
But I said in absolute, truthfulness, I said I was up the rank and then dropped because I left. I left the military to raise our child.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of my biggest regrets because I loved being in the military. I never felt more at home than when I was in the Army. And but she didn't want to raise the kid. She didn't want a kid. And it was the deal that we made for us to have the kid, that I would leave and stay home.
That's a good reason. That's a good motivation.
Well, I don't know about that. I just know that, like, if you have the red hash mark on your sleeve, because you have your left sleeve and right sleeve, and one denotes years and the other one denotes deployments. It's something similar in the Marine Corps and in the Army. I don't know about the Air Force. I don't know shit about the Air Force. I just know they got really good food and they're basically civilians.
Yeah, they are. That's why my dad switched services from. He was so turned off by the drill sergeant gig at Fort Johnson, that he switched services. He went to the Air Force.
It happens. People get just dismayed by what's going on in the politics.
Well,
and there's a lot of politics in your service.
Yep.
And I don't mean like government politics, but social politics. A lot of game playing, favoritism, shit like that. So this is when Frenchie leaves the ship, if I remember this correctly, and
yes,
the captain sees him leave the ship, and he gets sick doing this.
Well, it's winter and he's swimming to the shore. Right?
Yeah, and freezing fucking water, and it just, he's there and he's so cold, and it knocks out his immune system, and he gets sick, and when by the time Steve McQueen shows up, he's already dead. He was feverish and died. There's no happy endings in this film. I'm just telling you.
Yeah.
This is one of the most realistic, gritty endings. It's like, you know, even the missionary, fucking him and his hubris. And I say that because missionaries, they can behave with so much hubris with their conduct. I'm here in the name of God. And it's like, you know what? You need to shut your fucking mouth right now or you're going to get people killed.
Yeah.
And you run into this all the time. And that's his rank, by the way. The red you're seeing there, that's his rank markings. Mm-hmm. And your rank markings change color depending on your uniform for the Navy. U.S. Army, no matter what uniform we're having, the rank's the same color. Everything's the same color. Mm-hmm. And we had the ugliest. The U.S. Army had the ugliest uniforms after World War II. World War II had the best. I mean, the Ike jacket is one of the most handsome uniform jackets ever made. Eisenhower had that specifically designed for him, and it became something that a lot of officers loved to wear.
You talking about that sports jacket looking thing? Yeah.
It's cut off at the waist, very tight.
Yes.
Luke Skywalker wore a Nike jacket in Empire.
Right. Yeah. That's the one I'm thinking of. Yeah. I wanted one of those too.
It's a very manly looking jacket.
My favorite.
So he goes to the bar or the hotel, and he finds he's dead. And you see some of the thugs come there, and they're members of the Communist Party, to collect money or her, and ends up in a fight.
They knocked the shit out of him.
Oh, yeah. He puts a couple of punches in there, but they beat the shit out of him.
Well, they were 3-1.
And then they take her off, and off camera, they murder her and her baby. Because isn't she pregnant?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. She's talking about a child, and there's no kids, so I'm figuring she's pregnant.
I think they throw her through the window. That's
out the window?
Yes. I think that's because you don't ever see her again.
Yeah, she just disappears. I thought they took her, and he looks out the window. And that's what it is, that they threw her out. They killed her. God damn. This is a brutal film.
It
It
is.
really is.
The things you make me watch, jerk.
It's
Are you
only
torturing
brutal in
animals?
its subject matter. It's not visually brutal. The only brutal scenes in it is the quick glance of the coolie getting killed, having been crushed, and then the cut scene where they're cutting Mako.
Oh, that was terrible. That poor guy.
I just don't even know how to address what Monkey Jeebus just said. I just why didn't they just train whales?
Yeah.
Let it slide. Let it slide.
I will tell you this. A lot of people don't know this, but we still use dolphins in defense of this country.
Didn't they use
And we're
those
not
in
the
World
only
War
ones.
II?
There are spy dolphins and weapons dolphins that serve the Soviet, what is now the Russian country, but it used to be the Soviet bloc.
Didn't they place mines? Didn't they strap mines to their back and they would swim up and
Yeah,
slap magnetic mines on shit?
Yeah.
Yes.
Crazy.
Richie Cunningham's older brother just stopped being in the story, and he's just like first season, and they're like, we need to do away with this brother. He makes no sense, and just like they don't even remember him anymore. He's just gone. Dan the Dolphin. Dan the Dolphin is actually one of my favorite films with George C. Scott. I love that movie. Yeah. That talking dolphins, because they learn to communicate. Have you seen that movie? Anybody here?
No, I'm looking for it.
I know of it. I know of it. I've never seen it.
George C. Scott
is one guy
Day of
that
the
I haven't
Dolphin.
seen many movies of. Yeah,
it's a conspiracy theory film. One of those films that he made in the 70s, man. It's a fun film.
1973.
I think, was it Frankenheimer that directed? Who directed that?
The director was Mike Nichols.
Mike Nichols,
written
another
by
great
Buck
film.
Henry and Robert Merle.
Oh, Buck Henry's a very good writer.
Yeah, he is.
He penned the script for The Graduate.
Yeah.
Very good writer. Unknowingly,
One of the funniest dudes.
trains a
Hollywood
dolphin to
ever
kill the
saw.
president of the United States. That's right. It's a conspiracy film.
Mhm.
He did a couple of conspiracy films in the 70s that were really good. That one and Rage was really good, where George C. Scott got to do what he's best at, rage on camera.
There you
Because
go.
nobody can rage like George C. Scott.
Nope.
Nobody.
Nobody can. That's right.
That guy won an Oscar for fucking raging on camera. That guy, intense rage stuff.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever see the movie Hardcore, man? Wow. That was an
Which one?
amazing movie. Hardcore.
Oh, yeah. Zach's wanted me to do that video of him, and they wanted to use it as a joke where he's taking it. And I said, I can't do that.
No.
Dude.
Mm-mm.
As a dad
that's no
of
joke.
a daughter,
Yeah.
that scene? No, I can't make fun of that. I
No,
can't
you
make
can't.
fun of that scene. I choked up and cried when I watched
That
him
movie,
lose it.
it
Watching
lives
his
up to
daughter
its
on
title.
camera.
Yes. It lives up to its title. It is a hardcore movie. It's hard to watch. It really is. It smacks you in the face. It does. And a lot of it's his acting that sells it, man.
I'm sorry, Monkey with his fucking twisting shit, trolling.
Oh, no.
No, they brainwashed a dolphin into running for president, and secretly he was controlled by the Chinese. Fucking Monkey. I swear to God. I love him.
Time to put down the bong, maybe.
Right.
I can't say he's a national treasure to every channel, but he is to ours. I love him on here. He just fucking cracks me up.
He's great.
And this is their casual uniform for when they're having to swab the decks and shit. You know.
Only they don't do it. Look how rusty that boat is.
Which is one of the nicknames for the Navy is swabbies. Yeah, the boat looks like shit because they're not taking care of it. These fat, chubby fucking assholes forgot how to take care of their equipment. How to PMCS, as we call it in the Army. Your primary maintenance of your vehicle. I had a Humvee. We were the first reserve unit to get Humvees, my unit. And I cherish my Humvee, man. I learned how to maintain the engine, everything. And that's how it led to that funny moment out on the tarmac when I was we're out there like unbloused. It's just, I don't have any rank on me. I'm in a t-shirt, and this officer goes walking by, and he's in his fucking ACUs, BDUs,
Oh yeah, I've
whatever
heard
you want to call them. And he goes walking by, and I said, "Morning, Lieutenant." And he stopped and turned around, about facing. Well, because you have a problem with how do you phrase it? You got a problem with saluting a senior officer. And I wiped my hands off with a little cheesecloth and just threw it back into the engine compartment. And I looked at him. I said, "No, I don't, Second Lieutenant. Do you?" I know I don't have any rank on. So I'm like, this guy has no clue what fucking rank I am.
Right.
He didn't say
bluffing.
And he's a superior officer, and he's a second lieutenant.
So, and I specifically really enhanced how I said, "Second Lieutenant, do you have a problem saluting a senior officer?" And he just stood to it. He saluted me. He goes, "I'm sorry, sir." I said, "As you were, Lieutenant." And he walked away. And I turned around, and my guys just was like, they were like mouths open, and they're like, "How do you fucking do that?" I said, "It's confidence, man. I just have absolute confidence in myself with everything." That's why if I ever wanted to be a con man, I probably could have been. I just have an honest streak in me because I don't like lying. I feel uncomfortable with it.
Yeah.
This scene is my favorite moment. This is the turning of his character.
Yes.
This is the moment where his character arc switches. And I love it. It's just blunt. He tells his men to fire that fucking shot. Nobody will do it because they're fucking cowards. They instead want to turn over one of their own men.
Mm-hmm.
And he walks up there and he grabs that Vicar and he fucking lays a blast in front of the boats. And there it was. That's the end of the discussion.
Yep.
Shots have been fired. I fucking love this movie. I fucking love it. Look at that. Rust and dirt and just grime. This thing has not been taken care of for months.
Mm-hmm.
There he is again. He was also, like I said, almost all of these guys were veterans.
Oh, shut up, Ariel.
Oh, man.
Well, Ariel, if anything, Anima is in the console.
I don't know if it's about that. I know that it's loosely telling a bunch of incidents that took place on different ships, but its primary focus is on the USS Villalobo. And the Villalobo served all the way into the 40s because we stopped for a brief period and then started back up again during World War II. And then once communism took over China, we stopped all patrols in the Yangtze River. The Bonnie and Clyde situation. This guy can't even sleep now. He's paranoid about his crew. He just saw a side of them that he just didn't expect.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's sitting there with a fucking weapon in front of him in a chair in his office. And he's not thinking correctly anymore. He's trying to. But now he's made the decision, we are going to insert into this place and go get those missionaries whether they fucking like it or not. And we'll kill anybody that tries to stop us.
And of course, they're not liking it. Fucking missionaries.
And then he's like shows his bravado. He dies, a good soldier. And you become a soldier, whether people like it or not. You become a soldier the moment you become boots on the ground.
Yep.
The minute you go boots on the ground, whether you're Marine, Air Force, or Navy, you're a soldier.
Yep.
I've been curious who's cutting their hair, though, if the Chinese had abandoned the ship. Right? They weren't doing anything.
Maybe they're doing each other.
Okay, that sounds really bad.
That
And
phrasing,
totally making fun of
Anima,
the Navy as usual.
phrasing, especially in a Navy story. Come on now.
Yeah.
That was
Well,
definitely intended, Joe.
Remember, village people sing the song in the Navy. Okay.
I deliberately phrased
That was a
it
very
that way.
gay, openly gay pop band.
Pop band, yes, absolutely.
We're in the Navy. The two favorite, biggest songs were in the Navy and the YMCA. Oh, and what was the other one? Oh, God, they had another hit. I can't remember what it was.
Oh, shoot. Let me get in here. YMCA in the Navy. Let's see. All right, let's take a look.
Can't Stop the Music. That was
Can't
it.
Stop the Music, yeah.
And then they oddly sing a song about San Francisco. I don't know what that was about.
Macho Man. That's the one.
Macho Man.
Man.
That was it. That was the other big hit.
That was great stuff. Yeah.
I think that's a problem with your monitor, Ariel.
And there it is, one of my favorite weapons. It was the first squad automatic weapon, the BAR, the Browning automatic rifle. Oof. And it is the weapon of choice for his character. But you see in the film, if you watch the movie, what was wrong with the BAR was the blunt short magazines. Yeah. You would fire 2 volleys and have to reload.
Wow. It wasn't belt driven or drum
driven.
You
fire nope. Brap, and then you'd have to drop a mag and load another mag. And those mags were heavy.
20 rounds, I think they hold.
Yeah.
Too short for a weapon of that kind. Hey, deleted. Good to see you, man.
I got to tell you, Monkey, it's something that Anima brought up, is that white isn't the best color when you're going on a mission.
Not at all, no. It's screwing them
at
over.
night. It just kind of makes you the best target.
Great silhouette. Cacao.
Now this scene is really cool because they've woven ropes together between these boats to blockade them. And so they go in guns blazing and just kill the shit out of these guys. But this has that moment. I hope you capture it on camera. In the slideshow, when you see that kid again, the one you met earlier that she loves and cared about and taught, he's a communist and he jumps out there with the sword to kill Steve McQueen. And Steve does the stunt himself, drops his helmet and takes the hit on the head and then comes up and stabs him.
Oh, that has to be in there.
I hope it's in here.
I don't know.
But there's the BAR. That is a hell of a weapon right there. It is, that tears up the enemy. Just the problem with the BAR, so few rounds.
Yeah.
And you're out.
What's the caliber of that gun?
7.62.
Wow.
Same, it's close to a 30-06.
Gotcha.
And see how they got oh my God, they're like vines. These ropes are twined like vine. And cutting through them is just a bitch, and that's what they got to do. They got to jump out there with a fucking fire axe and cut through that fucking rope. And it's going to cost people their lives.
Hi, Zax.
And I love that the EXO, there's Zax. I just brought Zax up earlier over the, he wanted that video from
his video.
He wanted that video from Hardcore of George C. Scott losing his shit on the chair because he wanted to use it as a joke for reacting badly to things. And I agree with it, but I couldn't do it. I do think I made it for you, but I couldn't show it because I love that scene so much because it's so powerful. And I'm like, I can't make fun of that scene. I can't do it. I'm sorry. And
okay, let me play his video.
Hey, fuck you, Kyle.
Zax is a funny dude, man. I love his sense of humor. So here we go. This is it. This is their first real combat. So they're going to go up against these guys. This is where your training kicks in. It's like, just remember, you're training. and you've got a better chance of surviving.
Yep.
I like that they're keeping low except for the captain. Everybody else.
Oh, when they were on the bridge, he was standing in the middle of
he
the
didn't
open
even wanna-
window.
He didn't even want to step aside. His XO had to say, "Sir," and he
You're
goes,
gonna
"Oh,
get
yeah."
killed.
He just
It
standing
took
there
so
just
long
watching.
to finally give him a fucking helmet. I was like, why is no one doing anything? And then finally they come and give him a helmet. I'm like,
So here we go. This is boarding party. Pull the boat over, and they're just going to go boat to boat and start killing these guys.
Dude, and the
Yeah,
captain jumped first.
How 1700s of them. Wow. That's awesome.
Well, if I go by your logic, Monkey, what we need are guns that shoot themselves. Of course, they need people to operate them. Oh, I got to point this out too. The anima notices too. The blood color was a good mix. They got the color right. It wasn't orange.
Yeah, a lot of movies back then had orange blood, didn't they? Good Lord.
Oh, it was ridiculous. And it had to do with the film stock.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't that the blood was orange, that they were trying to mix the color a certain way so it would look right on film, and then it wouldn't look right on film. And it took them 10 years from 1965 to about 1975 to finally figure out the right colors.
A lot of the
John Wayne movies would occasionally have orange blood in them.
Yeah. Sam
Well, they did a
Peckinpah
good
flicks
job
back
here.
then and stuff. Yeah. A lot of them had that. I always remember it from the spaghetti westerns, you know?
Oh, with the crazy gun sounds.
Oh, yeah.
I went, and somebody really got a kick out of it that I did this. I went and took one of my favorite spaghetti westerns and redubbed all the guns to sound like real weapons. And they said it was a whole different experience hearing that Colt go off, the way a Colt sounds, the way a Gatling gun sounds. There's no pew pew sound. It just
Right.
I got rid of the crazy. John Carpenter used to piss me off because he got it right in one movie. I can't remember which one it was. I brought it up to, and I think it's The Thing. The Thing, he used realistic gun sounds. That was it.
Mm-hmm.
But Escape from New York and those other films, man, ridiculous fucking gun sound effects. It just annoyed the crap out of me.
I'm sorry. I still love the one where the president blows away Isaac Hayes, though. The bad gun sounds or not, it's awesome.
The Duke of New York, #1.
You're a number one.
He
Well,
fires
you
like
must have
90
figured out,
rounds.
Yep.
He
I
fires.
noticed it myself.
He fires 90 rounds of Mac 11 or Mac 10 gunfire. That's
No.
3
Wasn't-
magazines, and you never
Wasn't
see
it
a
an
reload.
M16?
No, I think that was a Mac 10 in that, wasn't it? I think that's a Mac
No,
10.
it's an M16. It's a long gun.
It is. It's an M16, it doesn't-
I don't think so.
I'll check it out.
Well, I'm
I
doing
got
it
an
right
answer
now.
earlier right now. She asked about why isn't the privateer here. I'll just go ahead and say it since I got a second. He doesn't show up until the day after 9/11, September 12th of 2001. So he wouldn't be around then, Ariel. That's why he's not involved. But he did board plenty of ships in the 1700s. Trust that. When he was fighting for the colonies. She's talking about my comic book character, Gerry.
We know who the privateer is. Are you kidding?
Oh, yeah.
Of course we know.
I can't find an HD copy of it.
Let's see. Well, all you got to do
And we
is
didn't get to
turn
see him
on
with the
any
kid.
the opening of any one of John's game night things because it opens the show. Let me look real quick.
Yeah. I know that the Duke is carrying an Uzi.
Right.
Uzi 9mm. But I could have sworn that the president grabbed the Mac 10 with the suppressor that Snake was carrying.
No.
Now, this is once again pure hubris on the part of the missionary again. He tells him, he explains to him in every detail, they are not going to respect your little piece of paper. They are going to kill you, and they're going to rape your daughter.
Right.
He's also offended because they gave up their citizenship.
Oh, that just irks him even further. How dare you?
It's such a slap in the face.
It was this great Western, and I forget the name of it. It was one of those movies that got a limited release. Not very many people know this movie. It has one of my favorite guns in it, the Mauser 1899 broom handle pistol. Not the 1898, but the 1899. It was different how you loaded the magazine. But I love the film, but I hated the sound effects of the guns. And so I went and I redubbed the whole thing and showed it to some of my friends, and they were like, holy shit, it is a totally different feel with the sound of a real weapon being fired. It doesn't sound all tinny and weird.
Can't tell what weapon exactly it is from that clip because it's not the greatest detail, but it's definitely not the Mac-10. It's not that, because he had that long silencer on the front of it, and it's definitely not that. It's some other kind of automatic weapon, but I'm not sure
because it's firing too fast for an American weapon.
Yeah.
President shoots Duke of New York with what weapon?
Yeah.
I'll just look it up.
But it's definitely not the one that Snake was using.
Trying to see this damn thing.
According to this is
Firearms
the
database.
Movie Internet Firearms Database.
I'm on there right now. Yeah, that's where I'm at. Yeah, he carried the Mac-10.
Right.
And it seems to me that that's what the president grabbed. Yeah. Nope. Fucking Martin got it.
M16 AR-15 SP1. Yep.
Yep. I'm looking at it right now. Holy shit.
Yeah, like I said, I could tell from the picture it wasn't that Mac-10 because it didn't have the silencer on the front of it.
It fires so quickly.
Yeah.
I fired full automatic, and it didn't seem like as fast as that on mine.
Nope.
Oh, wait, we're doing a movie.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, we got sidetracked. Yeah.
Well, the captain is dead. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm going back.
Yeah.
Hey, sometimes we're like a dog with a bone. We just can't let it go.
It's ADD theater.
So, once again, the missionary, she's just a dutiful daughter. She's going to do whatever her dad says. But the fact is, this father is such an asshole. And he reminds me of the missionary that you see in Zulu and the missionaries we meet in Rambo. So filled with hubris and superiority. And the look on his face when he says that they relinquished their citizenship, I was just like, you fucking did what? And what makes you think that's going to make you safe? In fact, being an American has a better chance of saving you than anything.
Right.
In this situation.
And they're there
maybe not in the Middle East.
Maybe.
But
maybe you say
in Asia, you got a better chance, but not in the Middle East. But here you do. Actually, back then, even in the Middle East, it wasn't until modern times it got bad. For me, you're not officially a queen, though, if you get voted for. Don't believe Star Wars.
Careful, man. There's a beverage here.
George Lucas's idea of how that shit works is just funny. That's why it was funny when Keith told me that, well, George Lucas is a closet conservative. I said, no, he's not. He's far left-wing liberal.
Yeah.
Very big left-wing liberal. I don't care. I like the way he says things. I agree with a lot of stuff that he says. He's your typical Hollywood liberal.
Yep.
No, nothing conservative about him. Milius is the only conservative in that group. And the only one comes close to him is Coppola.
Yeah.
So he goes out there and of course, the thing that blows my mind is it's brought up about the kid being dead, killed at the battle, at the boat. And he's just standing there looking at her when this is being delivered. That he's dead.
She knows it was him.
I don't know if she knows, but he's looking at her because he feels, I told you he was going to feel guilt for killing him.
That's how she can tell that it was him. The way he looks at her.
And then, of course, he finds a way to blame the Americans for this. It's like, no, you're the problem here. I know you're trying to help people. Again, best of intentions, but you guys cause nothing but problems for people. And he goes up there and he goes, I have the paper. They don't give a shit. We're communists. We're going to kill you. When communists take over, a minimum of 2 million people are going to die. Historically.
Mm-hmm. Ariel's in the chat politic.
If there's a vote, I would vote for you, but I'm like, I just don't. First of all, I'm not even English. I don't think it counts. So this is the final battle, if you want to call it that. It's sort of a shootout.
They have no chance.
The captain tries to do the noble thing here, and he says, you men go. I will trick them into thinking there are more of us here and hold them, because if they don't slow the communists down here, they're all dead, because they'll follow them before they can get to the ship and kill them. And this is really where you get to see how fat Murray is, the actor that played Murray. What's his name? Gavin McLeod. Because his donut in this is just fucking ridiculous. And like I said, I think that the director wanted pudgy actors to really enhance how lazy these guys were on that ship. And so they're almost out the door, and he gets shot, gut shot. And he dies too quickly, but he's dead. No matter what, he got gut shot. So now Steve McQueen realizes it's all on him now. And all he wanted to do was leave with her. He was ready to leave the Navy. He even tells the captain, I quit.
I'm staying.
Yeah. I'm staying with her. And but in the end, it doesn't matter. His commitment to his weapon and his team is more important. He's got to get him out alive. So he's got that BAR, and he's going to try to trick these guys into thinking there's more of him. Look at his tummy.
Yep.
Well, he's doing it for her too. He wants to.
He wants her to survive.
That she survived.
Yeah. But I think he still would have done it anyway, whether she was there or not.
Yeah.
Men of honor, like the name of that movie you brought up earlier, Ariel.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, God damn it, I have to do this. So he goes up there and he kills quite a few of these guys. He kills like 5 or 6 of them. Yeah, there's no backup coming.
No.
It's sort of like what I tell people in real life. When seconds count, cops are minutes away.
No doubt.
It's the same thing with, in the military. It's like, well, These guys are on us now. How far out are you? Those helicopters. Oh, we're 20 minutes. Think you can hold on? It's like, fuck.
Thanks a lot.
Well, I was asking last night when we watched this, how come that they are stuck there for half a year, the entire winter, and there's no backup coming?
There is no such thing as backup. They are their own backup.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently they are.
Well, the boat remember, the river was so low that the boat couldn't get out, so backup can.
But they could have sent backup. They could
No,
still have sent backup,
it just,
so they
it
have
just
it as
doesn't
soon as
work
they
that
can
way.
get in there.
It just didn't work that way back then. They were too far out. And commitments. It's one of the reasons why we stopped during World War II. We started up right after World War II. We stopped during World War II because our Navy was committed to other things. And now, once we hit World War II, you had a better chance of getting some backup, but not at this point in time. You're on your fucking own. These guys were out. It was a hardship tour.
Mm-hmm.
So he's killing these guys, these commies that are hiding up on the rooftop. He's got about 5 of them here. And he sees where he's got to go. He's got to get right to where that shadow is. Because once he gets into those shadows, they won't be able to see what he's doing. He can get the hell out of there. And he slowed them down enough that he killed enough of these guys that gives them a better chance. And he knows it. He's heading towards that shadow, man. I'm going to, gonna get out of here, man.
Gonna make it.
I've got my girl. I'm in love. And this is so stressful watching this because he's all alone.
Yep.
And he's yelling out people's names. Like there's multiple people, but they know it's just him now. Because he's got that white sailor suit and you can't fucking hide.
No.
Yeah.
And there's that fucking shadow. Once he gets those shadows, that's a wall between him and those bullets. And he's like, but then he gets nailed, fucking hit right in the gut.
Mm.
And then he reaches for his BAR, pulls it up to him, and he delivers the final line of the film. I was home. What the hell what happened? Mm-hmm. What the hell happened? Bam.
And that's how they know where he is, and they shoot him again.
Yep.
And he's dead.
And then we cut to see them getting away. They
Such
escaped,
an abrupt ending after 3 hours. It's like,
yeah, but it's a perfect ending.
Yeah.
Oh,
you don't need anything else said. He said it.
You are literally gut shot by it. It's wow.
Well, he's literally gut shot.
Right.
You're figuratively gut shot.
Figuratively.
And that's the end of it, man. The ship sails off. Captain's dead. Our hero's dead.
A lot of them are dead. They lost so many people.
Shut up, Tim. Was there 6 more weeks of winter when he saw the shadow?
Yeah, shut up, Tim.
They had a ninja in the film, Mako he's playing a Chinese guy, but that was really commonplace back then. Asian actors were just Asian actors, and they wanted to work. It's like there wasn't as big a calling for Asian actors.
Like I said yesterday,
anytime they got a chance,
a lot of Chinese actors probably weren't that keen to be in a movie like that.
Well, there were Chinese actors in there. The thing is, though, most of them don't agree with communism. That's why they ended up in America and other countries and fled China.
Yeah. By the way, no, continue. I thought you were through.
Well, they fled communism. They just did. Hong Kong remained under British rule until the 2000s, right?
Yes.
Wasn't it the 2000s? Yeah. And then finally Britain turned over control back to China, and Hong Kong went to shit. They went to neighborhood. Communists ruin everything.
That's how they were able to shoot on location in Hong Kong.
And by the way, we have to run Tim's video.
By what name are you known?
There are some who call me
Robert?
Tim.
Yeah, you deserve that, Tim. Showing up late and being all snarky.
Yeah.
1999. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's impossible to hide in that white uniform. It's just like,
Yeah.
they should have wore their dress blues because they would have blended in a little better with the night. Fucking white. Just asking to get shot. It's like at that moment, you know, Communist 1 talking to Communist 2. Which one are we shooting at? The ones in all white. And of course, the joke gets made. White guy in white. Right?
Man.
Of course.
I had to do it. You forced my hand.
It was 97 then. Okay, 97. I knew it was right around the early 2000s or something. Because I remember when it happened. It was a big event.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No. I was going to say, ask the people of Falcon what they think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you remember, like 4 or 5 years ago, there was big riots in the streets of Hong Kong?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I remember the guy standing in front of the tank at Tiananmen Square,
God,
opposing the military and communist rule.
That was, wow, that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Was that 80s that happened? Yeah.
Well, according to the Chinese, that didn't happen.
Yeah, and that guy just they disappeared that dude.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Gary, we were talking about George C. Scott earlier, and I've had IMDb up, and I saw a trailer for a movie that I loved in high school because I was one of those goofs that was in ROTC on a drill team. A movie called Taps with George C. Scott.
Yeah.
Have you ever done that one?
No, it's Tom Cruise's first movie.
Yep.
And Hutton's in it, and Sean Penn.
Mm-hmm. That's a great movie, man. Ronnie Cox, I think it's the first movie I ever saw him in. He plays the National Guard commander that's negotiating with him. Yeah, that's one of those movies I like to say there's no bad guys in it. They just have different views of the world, you know? And I like that one. I like that one a lot. Of course, you got to remember the perspective. I was an ROTC on a drill team. I was basically that bunch with the red berets in that movie running around with Tom Cruise, right? You know? So
yeah, it's like I hope you learned quickly. Don't tell senior drill instructors that you were ROTC because they will fucking ruin your life.
You can't hide it though. I went in as a PFC. There's only one
you get
one
that
way
extra
you do that.
stripe.
Yeah,
you get that extra stripe.
There's only one way you do that. You know.
Yeah, it's what happened to Julio when we were in the Army, and I remember turning to him one day. We were cleaning our weapons in the barracks, and I said, "Can I give you some advice?" And he says, "What?" And I said, "Stop telling people you're a ROTC."
Right. I didn't tell anybody.
It's not helping your situation.
It was right there on my sleeve. You know, I had a rocker and a friggin' chevron. I mean, I was a PFC when I joined. You know, shit. I was 4 years of ROTC, and there's only one way you get that rank going in straight away. It's from being on ROTC. So everybody knew it. I didn't have to say it. You know,
I was just proud he won.
Yeah.
I never did know ROTC stuff.
Hey, I loved it, dude. It was a lot of fun. Of course, you know, I was everybody with my name. I'm the third. Senior was with Patton at the Battle of the Bulge. Dad was in the Army for 6 years. He was a drill sergeant at Polk when I was born. You've seen the pictures. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Family business for us.
Yep. Same here. Everybody in my family, all the men served.
Yep.
That's why when I got that letter notification that I no longer had to, when I turned 26, I no longer had to update my selective services of where I live. I'm no longer eligible to be drafted.
Yeah.
I was sat down and was like, what?
Wow. It's over.
I just figured a war would break out and I'd get drafted.
Right. You're breaking my heart.
And I said, it's like that scene from Real Genius. It's a moral imperative. I have to join the army now. And a Stripes reference was made by John, still a good friend of mine, John and Patrick McGrath. They were two of my closest buddies at that point. And John went in with me. He signed up too. And it was just like Stripes. And it was just really weird. And we even watched Stripes before shipping out. It was like, I'm like going, yeah, it's pretty much like this. And then we got the basic training, and I told you what I did when we were on one of the training fields, and where I was going over a log, and the drill sergeant was sitting on it with his feet locked underneath it, holding himself upright on this log, looking down the line. And I stopped, and I just stopped momentarily, and I'm looking at him, and there's just, when somebody's looking at you peripherally, you see it, and he immediately turned and looked at me. And the minute he looked at me, I screamed at him, "This is nothing like Stripes!" And then I rolled off the log and kept going. And I could hear him laughing behind me, like, what the fuck was that?
Oh, man.
What was that? What was that soldier's malfunction?
Right?
Yeah.
We have a bridge by Shanatsky.
All right.
I don't like the idea of it going out the back door.
But that's the way it's supposed to go out. Anyway, I want to thank everybody for being here today. Small crowd today. It's an older film, so it doesn't draw the attention. I'm okay with that. It happens. That's what this show's about, is me talking about the military movies I loved, and films I respect, and films that I feel expresses my personal passion about the military. I won't do films I don't like. If I don't like a film, I won't talk about it. Even if it's pro-America, I don't care. If I don't like the film, I'm not going to talk about it.
He will do movies that I don't like, though.
Well, because it's about what I'm doing, what I'm talking about. But I appreciate everybody, and Glenn and all you guys in the UK know that I will do films about the British, because I love the British military. I've met quite a few guys from SBS, SAS. I think the most interesting group of people I ever met were the members of the French Foreign Legion. And I like those dudes, man. I like them.
Yeah.
None of them were French. They spoke French.
Yeah.
Because that's enforced. You have to learn French.
Yeah.
But they're not Frenchmen.
They're not Frenchmen.
And in fact, most of them I met were one was Dutch, and the rest were Americans that I met.
The French Foreign.
I almost joined the French Foreign Legion.
Mm-hmm.
There was a very dark moment in my life. I got angry that I gave up my military career, and I told my dad, fuck it, I'm going to go join the French Foreign Legion. Fuck these people. Fuck everybody. I hope I go fucking die. I'm just so fucking tired of people shitting on me when I'm trying to do the right thing. But then my dad talked me out of it. They need you. And I'm like, fucking people needing me.
He just told you you'd have to learn French, and you were like, yeah, I'm out. Not doing that.
No, I didn't mind that. I like French. I just don't like French people, or Parisians in particular. How about any Greece, Poland, Belgium, Netherlands movies? If I've seen the film, maybe. But if I haven't seen the film, I don't know how I'm going to show it, talk about it. Look at Land of Mine. I don't know that film.
Superb. Okay.
I just recently grabbed a film. Thought I'd watch it, and like one of the reviews says, it's the Saving Private Ryan of the Middle East, and it was produced by I think Indian maybe or Pakistani. I'm not sure. And I watched the first 10 minutes of the film, and I said, I'm out. Just terrible combat footage. Terrible.
Well,
I mean, it was obvious there was CG gunfire. It's just everything was so fucking fake. They didn't even try to make it look like a good film. They just made it look like it was shot on somebody's HD camera.
Which one was this, bud?
It's something new I just saw. I can go. Hold on. Let me go see if I can find it.
I just looked up Land of Mine. This sounds wholly depressing. In post-World War II Denmark, a group of young German POWs are forced to clear a beach of thousands of landmines.
That sounds interesting now.
Watch of a Danish sergeant who slowly learns
Your
to
people put them here. You're going to clean them up.
Yeah, right? Woof. Clearing a minefield. Ugh.
A just punishment, in my opinion.
Ooh, wow.
Let's see. Let
It's
me
from
go to
2015. So.
All right. Let me go to the filter. Go to movies. Oh, it's TV shows. I want movies. There we go. Movies. By the way, we got 2 new Anthony Hopkins films out that I'm wanting to see.
Really?
Yes, he's got the movie One Life about the British man who went to Czechoslovakia and saved a bunch of Jewish children from the Nazis coming in. And it's a true story. And how he went on a talk show and he's in the audience sitting there. When they ask him to stand up, he stands up. And then the host says, if there's anybody in the audience who is impacted by this man's deeds, would you please stand up? And the entire audience stands up and he realizes he's surrounded by all the people he saved.
Wow.
And
that
then
sounds very Schindler's List to me. Yeah.
Yes. Freud's last session about the meeting between him and C.S. Lewis. And I want to see this movie. And Hopkins plays Freud.
Okay. He plays Freud? Wow.
I love the movie Schindler's List. It's one of the few Spielberg films that I did like.
It's a very important movie, but it's not military. It does not.
It is military. Dale Dye worked on it, but the fact is, I wouldn't feel good.
It's one of those movies. It's one of those movies everybody should see once. Absolutely. And I'll never watch it again.
I'll only watch it once. I've seen it one time, and I don't need to see it again.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Passion of the Christ, I've seen it once. That's all.
Once was all that was. Yeah, I saw it twice. The reason why is after I went to see it, my daughter wanted to see it, so I took Zoe to see it, and then we never watched it again, and I'll never watch it again. It's just,
but everybody should see it.
It's a powerful film.
If you think you've had a bad day, just watch The Passion of the Christ, and you'll see the definition of a bad day.
Oh, not more flogging!
Oof. God.
Oh my God.
I mean, he took the handcuffs off. That's ridiculous. My favorite scene of that movie, though, is whenever he's in the garden praying for this to be taken from him, and the serpent shows up.
Yeah,
and he basically tells him to go to hell, and he
now
gets
we did
back. Yeah,
we did do the Caine Mutiny, didn't we?
No, not yet.
We didn't do it. I love that movie, the new one. I love the original, but I love the new one because it's based on the play, not the Humphrey Bogart film.
Gotcha.
Which is different. It's the same story, but instead of hearing about what happened, it's you see what happened on the ship. They actually show you in the movie. And I'm trying to find this film, see if I can find it.
The new one, are you talking about the Caine Mutiny Court Martial?
Yeah, the new one.
Kiefer Sutherland?
Friedkin directed it. Yes, it's really good.
Okay. By the way, Anima has to go, so I don't know if you have anything to say.
Well, I'm just trying to find this movie. Trying to see if I can find this crappy movie that I started watching. It's really bad. But Anima, if you got to go, sweetheart, go ahead and go.
Well, I'm always hoping I can stay until you wrap, but I just wanted to.
Well, I'm trying to wrap. I'm just trying to find this movie.
I know.
I'm a dog with a fucking bone. I've got to find this fucking movie.
Here it is. Yeah. Sometimes we just got to do it. It's
Nobody
OCD. We got to do
Gerry.
Was it
good to see you, Anima?
It might have been the film The Ambush that turned me off because it was a new film and I didn't finish it either. But no, it's not. That is actually supposed to be good. My buddy is in that one. He's plays one of the Afghani soldiers.
No, Fahim.
Yeah, I just can't find this fucking movie. I cannot believe this. I can't find this fucking movie. I'll tell you one film I won't watch, Operation Mincemeat. It's already been a movie, and it was a better film, the original.
Missouri Gerry and the search for the lost movie.
Yeah, I just can't find the film. It's just not very good. It was just badly shot. So anyway, that's it, guys. I want to thank everybody for being here. I love this movie. If you haven't seen the Sand Pebbles, go watch this movie. It's a powerful film. It talks about history and it talks about real characters. Even though these aren't real people they're depicting, they're real. They're very grounded. And I love that. So anyway, everybody have a great Monday today. And in the immortal words of Brian,
That's it. Show's over.
that's it. We're out of here.